What if God is not best understood as a distant supernatural ruler that's seated somewhere beyond the stars? What if God is not merely an object of belief, but the very call that draws us towards greater love, justice, compassion, and wholeness? For many people, this way of speaking about God may seem unusual. Yet it emerges from a long tradition of mystical and prophetic spirituality. Rather than asking, where is God, the question becomes, what is God calling us toward? In this understanding, God is experienced less as an explanation and more as an invitation. Every human being knows something about being called. We feel drawn towards truth when we're confronted with falsehood. We feel drawn toward compassion when witnessing suffering. We feel drawn towards justice when we encounter oppression. We feel drawn towards beauty when we stand before a sunset, or when we hear a piece of music that moves us to tears. Something reaches out to us that's beyond our selfish interest. Something that summons us towards a larger life. And that summons is what many theologians mean when they speak of God as the call. God is not simply a being we think about. God is the voice that calls us beyond ourselves. Throughout Scripture, God often appears not as an object to be defined, but as the call to be answered. Abraham is called to leave his homeland. Moses is called to confront Pharaoh. Isaiah is called to speak for justice. Mary is called to bear Christ into the world. The disciples are called to leave their nets and follow Jesus. Again and again, God appears as an invitation into a new way of living. The question is rarely, can you explain God? The question is almost always, will you respond? Jesus consistently pointed people towards a life that was centered on love. Love God. Love your neighbor. Love your enemies. Forgive 70 times 7. Feed the hungry. Welcome the stranger. Care for the least among you. And in this sense, Jesus reveals God as the call of radical love. Whenever we feel compelled to choose compassion over cruelty, generosity over greed, reconciliation over hatred, we have encountered that call. God is present not only in what we believe, but in what beckons us towards love. Defining the God as the call opens a path beyond the old arguments. It offers a path beyond the argument of supernatural theism and atheism. They're not the only two games in town. The traditional theist asks, does God exist as a supernatural being? The atheist replies, I see no evidence. But what if God is not merely another object within the universe to be proven or disproven? What if God is the depth, dimension of reality itself. The call towards truth, beauty, justice, and love. Then the question changes. Instead of asking whether God exists, we ask whether we hear the call. Instead of debating abstract doctrines, we ask whether we're becoming more compassionate human beings. The focus shifts from speculation to transformation. The Franciscan Clarion tradition sees God in the call to live simply, love boldly, and resist empire. God is the call to stand with the poor. God is the call to affirm the dignity of our queer people. God is the call to care for Sister Earth. God is the call to practice nonviolence. God is the call to build beloved community. Whenever people answer these calls, the divine becomes visible in the world. The call becomes an event. The invitation becomes incarnation. The sacred takes flesh among us. And in conclusion, to define God as the call is not to reduce God. It's to recognize that divine is not merely something to be believed in, but something that continually summons us. God is the call that interrupts injustice. God is the call that awakens compassion. God is the call that invites healing. God is the call that draws us towards deeper love. Perhaps the most important question isn't whether we can perfectly define God. Perhaps the more important question is, what is love calling us to do today? And will you answer?